Evening, y'all. G Prepper here. I haven't made a video in I want to say a few days or even a week, maybe. Been knee deep in fucking dicking around with my wife's Jeep. I put two alternators in it. First one, the voltage regulator tested bad. Second one, act like the voltage regulator wasn't even fucking on, because it went straight to battery on the vehicle and then gave me an alarm. Needless to say, I am a go and a professional at putting it in and taking it out. I can do it in under an hour. So because we're having fucking fits with her Jeep, I'm selling my van. It's multifaceted reasoning. I'm gonna assuming they don't balk it when they pick it up. Carvana is coming to get it on Monday. Just finalized the appointment. I don't know what the fuck they say, what they do. They didn't look too close last time. It's an old van. They offered more than I expected. If they dropped the price, I'm not going to complain too much. So, I also may have sold an '83 style side Chevy. So that's going to get me $3,000. It's in pieces. I bought it as a project truck, but I got too many goddamn irons in the fire. But I wanted to talk about something that most young people don't do well with, and most people don't do well with. I'm watching the TV series Landman. I have Paramount Plus. My wife, I don't know if she's done something, or we get it through T-Mobile or something, but and it depicted a blowout on an oil well. One guy survived only because he was closer to the truck on his way back with a wrench than to the well. And the four guys that were there, a couple of them were blown to pieces. The one that was mostly full body, regardless, the pieces and bodies were burnt to the point where they couldn't recognize them. The company offered $250,000 to each family, so 8 orphans, 4 widows, and I don't know what decade this is being depicted in. It's probably not too far off the mark as far as how dangerous the lifestyle is and the industry. But I can tell you for a fact, every single company and every single job is like that. You know, they'll pay them out their insurance because the company has insurance against those kind of accidents, and then the 250,000. Some people might say that's a lot, but realistically, if they're making 180,000, which is what they were depicted as, that's 70,000 more than 1 year's wages. All 4 of the deceased had wives and kids. That certainly won't put a kid through college. If it was in the 80s, it'd buy a house times 4 and a couple of nice cars. 90s, maybe 3 houses and a nice car. 2000s, maybe 2 houses and a nice car. 2010s, a house, maybe. Now, not even a house. So, but that's how companies work. You are a number, and you are replaceable. So, my wife told me that some companies are advertising jobs and doing fake interviews and then not offering the job, or if they come across somebody that they think is stellar, they'll hire them and fire somebody they don't like in the company. What else? You need to understand that your dedication to your job, I'm not sure it's time well spent, because they'll move on within a week or less. Maybe sometimes the same day your job will go up on a fucking job board. And since it will be an actual vacancy, they If they have trouble filling it and they figure out they can work without the person, then they won't fill it. So it's all about numbers. It's all about cost. So back in the 80s when I was in initial individual training, EIT, of AIT, advanced individual training, because you're not technically, you don't have an NMOS until you graduate your initial AIT. So my roommate was, I'm pretty sure he was a white supremacist. He was from Washington State, I think. His name was PFC Brown. And he sucked ass at running. I used to run extra with him all the time to try to get him to where he could pass the fucking PT test. But he told me back then, capitalism will always bite the hand that feeds it. And we're at that point in American history right now where the greed for corporate America is so vast. This Landman series and these 4 employees dying is just one example. In any of the highly dangerous industries, it's going to be like that for sure. The guy that sold me the AC unit for this house back in 2013 had been working for CPS for, I want to say 2 decades, and then they lost 2 linemen, and the company went to work the next day. Didn't even mention the 2 guys that died, and that bothered him. And it opened his eyes to the fact that at least that company didn't give 2 shits. So back when I was working in plastic injection molding, I used to set a tool or a mold that weighed 5,500 pounds in a 200-ton press. Basically, I installed it in the press and set it up to run. So, but in order to do that, I had to put the whole tool in, clamp it in place, open the press, and then put in safety locks so nobody would actuate the press while I was under it, because I had to get under the press and that 5,500 pound tool to hook up cooling hoses. Creeped me the fuck out. And the new tool that made the exact same part weighed 7,000 pounds. So that was exceeded the crane, and the crane's rating in the building was 3 tons. So that tool had to be set 1/2 at a time. So yeah, it sucked. But we had a couple of days where the director of operations came out and spent time. He was there for 24 hours straight, 2 days. Well, 1 day, and then he'd go home, take a break, and then he'd come back because he had to talk to each of the people who set tools in each of the process techs, because some company not too far away had a machine that was triggered by the part that was ejected would fall down from the press after it was made and hit a light beam and would break the light beam, and that would trigger the press to close and do what it was doing. Well, a guy got caught in that shit and killed him instantly. So the rumor was he committed suicide. So we are a long ways from our food. Becoming civilized has, I think, has also made us weak. Pay attention to how many people get sick and die this winter, and sadly in eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina. The people who don't have homes, they're going to freeze to death if they don't figure out a way to make some kind of shelter. You know, they got the Amish going in there making huts for them, but if there's no way to heat that hut, then it's still going to be cold. It's going to be really fucking cold. We're just aren't engineered anymore to live in austere environments. I've told you before, in a war zone, we had shelter, we had heat, we had air conditioning during the summer, we had food, we had water, we had security. And the working every day between no less than 12, sometimes as many, like nonstop, 24 hours, and then do it again the next day, it fucking beats you down. And that don't count the, people trying to blow me up with mortars and rockets and going out on convoys, IEDs, VBEDs, vehicle-borne IEDs. It's vehicle-borne IED is improvised explosive devices. So, and then one night when I was over there, I had MVGs. Looked around, and the enemy's tracers are green. Ours are red. And I looked around, and I was like, "Holy shit! There's fucking bullets flying everywhere." So I didn't do that too many more times. Right now we're sheltered. Most of us are in homes. We keep the mosquitoes away from us. Poisonous insects, spiders. In Texas, we have scorpions, snakes. Right now I got a rat problem in the house. I just set a couple traps. I want to go out and check them here in a little while. I'm getting ready to watch Angry Prepper from New York about the multi-sources and stages of some kind of outbreaks or multi-level. See what the fuck he's talking about. Because I've been seeing some shit coming out of Africa that's flu-like that's killed 179 people. Apparently the bird flu here in America is starting to take off. Keep your eye on that shit. And if you are not already stocked up and prepped, you might need to stay in your fucking house for a while in the coming future. And then all the nightmare scenarios from Russia and everyone else. I mean, the news is not talking about it, and people don't know. So my advice is to make sure you stay prepped. I found out that, according to something I read, that San Antonio, Texas is possibly on a target list for nukes from Russia. If that's the case, then my ass is toast because I'm south and east of town. Weather blows for the most part from the northwest to the southeast, especially right now in wintertime. So it is what it is. So I would be prepared to be without electricity as much as you can be and figure out what's really important. And I did a video on that about refrigerators and freezers to help you with your food. So, winter in Texas is by mid-February, end of February, we're done with winter. So we got, 1, 2, 2.5 months now. But they're already starting to talk about a possibility of another freak winter storm here in Texas. So they have to do that so they can cover their ass in case there is one. I don't think they actually know if there's going to be one. This has been a little bit of a ramble. I just wanted to come on and say the issue with my van is I spent 4 or 5 years now customizing it and putting it into the condition that I wanted it to be in for what I used it for. And then this has been a risk for me from the get-go. Because my wife doesn't like the van, and she doesn't like my one-ton because they're both big vehicles. And contrary to her belief, I don't think she knows how to fucking use mirrors on a car. She says she does, but I don't think she does. And then her old truck is not any good to be in heavy traffic in because the clutch has got a heavy spring, so it fucking gives your leg a workout. And then my old Pontiac, a gangster car, is high on the list to being stolen, and she's been driving my Challenger, which is also high on the list to be stolen. So the intent is to pay down a credit card so that I free up my credit rating more. And then, if assuming the truck I bought last year sells, and I get to $3,000, then that means that possibly by the end of January I can buy something new. I can probably do it sooner, but I want to pay my Challenger down and refinance it to free up money every month, and then I may wait 3 months, pay off another credit card. We'll see. Depends on what the world's doing. So depends on whether or not this third alternator fixes the problem in my wife's Jeep or not. Because tonight I was very fucking irritated because spent an hour putting it in, double checked everything, pushed the button, started up, and then it went straight to battery alarm. So it wasn't running off the alternator at all. It is what it is. So I would not recommend anybody to get a Jeep Wrangler Unlimited anything with start-stop option on it. If it has that, then it has an auxiliary battery. If you want more info, go to a Jeep forum or type in auxiliary battery and electrical problems on Jeeps Wrangler JLs with start-stop on them, and you'll be like, wow. So we're at 16, going on almost 17 minutes. If you stayed this long, I appreciate you listening to me. I hope you're getting something out of the channel. Information is knowledge and power. Live a little, prep a lot, share love. Jeep Prepper out.